Hey guys, it's Dean. I don't know why, but for some reason today I decided to defend the undefendable. Or at the very least try to. I didn't enjoy these games, never did, and definitely thought I didn't like them. Heck, I was going to skip them for this retrospective. But for some reason, I played them again recently and I thought they needed a proper defense. Why? I'm not sure, but I'm going to try to figure it out while explaining it to you. I have a few theories. For starters, I think I naturally gravitate towards defending those that are bullied and weak. And if there's anything in the Marioverse that's weak and bullied, it's definitely Mario Party 9 and 10. Another theory I have is one that I've always stated but for some reason never associated with 9 and 10. All Mario Party games can give you a good time with the right group of friends, especially if the minigame collection is solid, and let me tell you, 9 and 10 have some of the best minigame packages in the series. But those two reasons aren't enough for me to develop a thesis in defense of these titles. There's definitely more. Alright, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's take a deep breath and start over. With NDCube taking over for Hudson Soft, we saw a few changes to the Mario Party series. The first change, and what was in my opinion at the time, the larger change, was the fact that Mario Party was no longer an annual release title. We were spoiled with annual Mario Party releases for the better part of a decade, and then all of a sudden we weren't getting anything. Even if you didn't buy every Mario Party, if you were a diehard NintenDude, then you kept tabs on it. And I remember feeling very disappointed at the time, especially because I loved Mario Party 8 back when it came out. The issue, however, is there weren't enough people still obsessing over the Mario Party formula. In fact, critics in general had been giving the games negative reviews and calling them bland and uninteresting and recycled, and fans were agreeing, an opinion that I strongly disagree with now more than I did back then. So there was a lot of pressure to change up the formula, and that's exactly what NDCube did for Mario Party 9. They changed it way more than anyone expected they would. The ultimate monkey's paw. You all know how this goes. Mario Party 9 introduced a mechanic involving a car that all 4 participants would ride together, taking turns being captain of said vehicle. Being captain basically meant it was your turn to play, so you're the person rolling the dice, you decide the directions, although the boards are pretty much linear, save a few detours, and as captain you also receive the reward and punishment of the turn. When you're done, the players rotate and the next player is captain. Everyone moves together during the board play, and every board is linear, with a starting point and an ending point with boss battles sprinkled in between. Certain changes had to be made to the fundamentals of the game to adapt to this new style. For example, if there was a star space on the board to be purchased, there would be way too much luck involved who would be captain when the vehicle passes the star. As a result, the game was changed to no longer hold the traditional coin and star system, and instead, everything is replaced with a mini-star. On the board, there are spaces that allow you to collect a cluster of mini-stars if you're captain when you pass by them. This, for the most part, relies on the luck of your roll, so some might argue that you could have just kept the coin and star system and made those cluster spaces the actual star spaces. The issue here lies in the fact that stars are significantly more valuable than coins, and the nature of the game could mean that the entire board game's success could rely on being captain when you pass by a star, which wouldn't be fun at all. So instead, we have mini-stars and nothing else. Basically, Mario Party 9 and 10 are what Mario Party would be without any stars, with coins only, with strictly linear boards, and with everyone moving together. Which sounds awful. And if you ask most people, it is awful. And I totally understand why. It changes the fundamentals of the board play and dumbs down the game significantly. At least, that's what I always thought before playing the game for this retrospective. If you've been keeping up with my retrospectives, you'll notice that I'm not a huge fan of gameplay mechanics that completely shake the game up. I'm a fan of traditional star hunting boards, be they linear, island-based, or just a complex map. I enjoy gimmicks in boards, but not when they change the fundamentals of the Mario Party gameplay. Boards like Windmillville in Mario Party 7, or Bowser's Warped Orbit in Mario Party 8, it's not to say that these boards aren't fun, but they feel like they should be side modes at best. In some regard, I've always felt like that entire game of Mario Party 9 and 10 should be considered side modes, or even 6th or 7th boards gimmicks in a mainline game. I can totally imagine an alternate timeline where Mario Party 9 and 10 were truer to the traditional formula, and people are raving about the vehicle party side modes they contained. Heck, it's done pretty much in every other Mario Party side mode, and some of those games are kinda stale. So right off the bat, I think these games' criticisms largely come from their lack of a regular gameplay mode. And furthermore, they were basically all that was available on console for the better part of a decade, and the handheld counterparts weren't filling the classic gameplay itch either. All in all, the whole situation was a recipe for disaster. In previous retrospectives, I shrugged off side modes and even boards that changed the Mario Party basics, and to be honest, I thought I'd be shrugging off all of Mario Party 9 and 10 as a result. But the reality is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I don't think these games are as large of a detour of Mario Party gameplay as everyone sees them. I think they provide boards that are exciting enough to garner intense moments, I think they give us excellent minigames, I think they have some of the best visuals and audio presentation in the series, and I think the gameplay mechanic is just nuanced enough to not make this game a dull snooze fest. However, the games are obviously not without flaw, and they are fairly repetitive, hence why I'm grouping both of them into one retrospective. Let's start off with the presentation. Being the latest 2 entries in the series, you'd obviously expect the game to look much better than the previous titles. While Mario Party 8 went for a grittier look on the Wii that looked out of place, Mario Party 9 was a showcase of what you could do with the Wii with the right animation style. I draw many parallels between Mario Party 8 and 9's art style and Mario Party 4 and 5. Mario Party 4 looked like it tried too hard to be something it's not because it jumped to a new console, and Mario Party 5 pulled the game back to reality and gave us a better looking game with a more fitting art style. It's the same situation with 8 and 9, except this time a console generation newer. And thankfully, Mario Party 10 adopts a lot of the Mario 3D World art style and actually looks great in HD. It's not anywhere near as gorgeous as Mario Kart 8, but Mario Party titles were never about being the best looking games on the console anyway. These 2 titles look really good and have some moments that made me reflect on how much the series has visually grown. Additionally, a lot of the boards feel like they were ripped straight out of a Mario game. In the past, there were general Mario themes, but you'd rarely feel like the board was ripped out of a 3D Mario title. But a lot of 9 and 10's boards actually feel like they belong in the Mushroom Kingdom. And likewise, the music and sound design, they feel like Mario games when you listen to them, and that's really all I could ask for. I'm not the biggest audiophile, you've probably noticed I hardly ever bring it up, so I'm not going to pretend I can analyze something I have no expertise in, but some of the older games had music or sounds that felt out of place to me, and I hardly felt that during 9 and 10, if at all. Next, I wanted to discuss the minigames. Dude, they're good. And not in the sense that all Mario Party titles have good minigames. The minigame packages for both these titles are good in their own right. Both titles use Wiimotes, but unlike Mario Party 8, they know when not to force motion controls down your throat. All of the motion-controlled minigames feel like they should be motion-controlled minigames. And while you can use the pointer for a lot of general menu navigation, you can always use buttons as well, again, unlike Mario Party 8. Mario Party 9 has 44 free-for-all minigames, which is a ton, and not only do I enjoy a vast majority of them, I have very few that I'd complain about. And the same applies with the 31 from Mario Party 10, as well as the 10 2v2 minigames. The 1v3 minigames in both titles aren't nearly as unbalanced as previous titles, and due to the nature of the gameplay, each title only has 10 of them since 4-player minigames are way more common, which is a good thing strictly because of the type of games 9 and 10 are. 9 contains Bowser Jr. minigames which sees the captain and a randomly chosen player compete against Bowser Jr., and Mario Party 10 has the Bowser minigames that have the 4 players compete for survival against Bowser. These essentially serve the same purpose in both games. They're the typical survival minigames you'd see in previous entries that punish the losers if they're not unable to succeed. They're fun in their own right though, not the best in the series. Mario Party 10 does allow a human-controlled player using the Wii U gamepad to control Bowser, which is neat, but I'll get to that later on in the retrospective. And finally, perhaps one of my favorite aspects of both of these games, boss battles. Every board in 9 and 10 contains both a mid and final boss as you traverse through the board. It's a really fun inclusion that allows players to compete against one another for more mini-stars based off their performance, with bonus mini-stars being given to the captain and the player to snag the final attack on the boss. I gotta say, these are really fun. It gives off the illusion that you're working together to defeat the boss, but in actuality they can get extremely competitive because you'll be trying your best to deal the most damage and walk away the champion. They're not quite as diverse as the bosses in Mario Party DS's story mode, but they're a welcome addition to the series, and I'd love to see future Mario Party games implement mid and final bosses for large coin bonuses or something. That covers the presentation and minigames of these titles. The reason I opted to start with those first is because I think those aspects of the game are unquestionably good. I doubt many people dislike the way these games look or the minigames or even the boss battles. I'm now going to move on to discussing the actual board play, because that's where a large portion of the fanbase falls off these titles. Mario Party 9 contains 7 boards and Mario Party 10 contains 5, and all 12 boards play fairly similar to one another. You're on a path to the end of the board, there's some kind of hazard you have to deal with along the way, you face a few excursions and varying minigames, and you face off against a boss at the end. 4 out of the 5 Mario Party 10 boards contain similar themes to Mario Party 9, but that's hardly a criticism since most Mario Party games don't have more than 1 or 2 original settings. But basically, since the gameplay is so similar across the board, or boards rather, I figure it'd make most sense to treat this retrospective of both of these titles as one video, otherwise I'd be repeating myself way more than I'd like to. The spaces in Mario Party 9 include the green space, where nothing happens, the blue space, where the player will receive a special dice block, a lucky space that will cause something good to happen to the captain, the unlucky space that will cause something bad to happen, the event space, which is your typical happening space, the shuffle space, which rearranges the order of captaincy in the vehicle, the dash space, which allows the captain to roll again, the backspace that forces the captain to roll again and move in reverse, the Bowser space which summons Bowser, the mini-star space which awards the player with the mini-stars designated by the number on the board, the mini-czar space which takes the same number of mini-stars away from that player, the captain event space which occurs at least once per stage and forces the players to undergo a board event, the boss battle space that's pretty self-explanatory, the VS space which triggers a free-for-all minigame, a 1v3 space which triggers a 1v3 minigame, forcing the captain to be the one in this instance, the Bowser Jr. space which will force the captain plus a random chosen player to undergo a Bowser Jr. minigame, and a battle minigame space that will trigger, you guessed it, a battle minigame. As far as Mario Party 10 is concerned, basically the exact same lineup of spaces with a few changes, like the steal space, which allows you to steal mini-stars from another player, and the VS space triggers a roulette to determine a minigame type between 1v3, 4-player, and 2v2. I should have probably mentioned it earlier, but if you were paying attention you might have picked up on the fact that there are no 2v2 minigames in Mario Party 9. I definitely consider this a strike against it, since 2v2 minigames are a staple of Mario Party, but honestly throughout this retrospective I had so many times where we only got 1 or 2 2v2 minigames in an entire game, so it's not that big of a loss to me. But it's definitely a strike to the game. So anyway, that wraps up the types of spaces on the boards. They're fairly straightforward. You no longer gain or lose coins on red and blue spaces. Now it's all about finding a way to get mini-stars. You can pass by them on the board, you can land on a captain space or event space and be rewarded, you can lose mini-stars by passing by the mini-czars, you can use dashes to make sure you pass by board events, or you can use reverses to stall from going forward towards a cluster of mini-czars, or better yet, reverse to go back and pick up some more mini-stars if everyone just passed a cluster. Minigames will occur whenever a minigame space is landed on, but I found out around the 4th or 5th dice roll, if nobody has landed on a minigame space, the game will straight up just give everyone a go at a minigame. It never felt to me like the game was neglecting the minigames by not having a strict minigame rule at the end of everyone's turn. The game does tend to reward 2nd and 3rd place with some mini-stars too, which I honestly found a little annoying, but this is something that bothers me way more in standard Mario Party titles and not 9 and 10. The reason I think it's fine over here is because there's so many different ways to gain and lose mini-stars. Some of them involve luck, which is to be expected of Mario Party, but many of them also involve skill and strategy. The skill largely comes from the minigames, which has always been the case in these titles. The strategy occurs on the board. Contrary to popular belief, there is strategy in this gameplay style, and it's not all about luck. So hear me out. In previous Mario Party titles, your strategy came from how you moved around the board. Would you swing a right and take the long way to the star so you can pass by Boo to steal coins from a rival? Or maybe you'd consider taking a chance to land on a happening space or chance time. Or maybe you'd go ahead and hope you can roll the highest and race to the star before everyone else. Despite the fact that those first two examples are often the smartest play, the third example, that being hoping that you roll the highest to reach the star first, is generally the main play you make. In fact, people seldom tend to consider other forms of strategy until they are in positions where they're no longer closer to the star, whether it's because they haven't been rolling well or because the star was moved to a different location. The point being that luck in dice rolls has always been a staple of Mario Party, and that continues to be a trend in Mario Party 9 and 10. If anything, the dice roll involves less luck in this game because you're not always trying to roll the highest anymore, you're trying to roll the smartest, and you do that by using the items in this game, which are all varying types of dice blocks. You always have your standard dice, that's the 1 through 6. The standard die is no longer 1 through 10, which doesn't matter as much because you're no longer trying to traverse the board with multiple junctions or race to get the highest rolls at the time. You're trying to get through the board and make sure you're the captain at the best moments. The bonus dice includes the slow dice, a dice that rolls slowly and virtually allows you to select your number from 1 to 6, a 0 to 1 dice, a 1 to 3 dice, a 4 to 6 dice, and a 1 to 10 dice. Those are the same across both games, with the only exceptions being that Mario Party 10 does not have a 1 to 10 dice, it has a double dice, and Mario Party 10 also has a reverse dice in Amiibo Party, a game mode I won't waste any more time discussing, and a slow 1 to 3 dice in Bowser Party, a game mode I'll discuss a bit at the end. The whole strategy in Mario Party 9 and 10 consists of knowing how and when to use the special dice blocks to best give yourself a chance at success. And the game does a pretty good job of making sure players are able to collect dice blocks throughout. You'll often have a dice block on hand in this game, more than you might have had an item on previous games. And you'll likely be using them a lot more too, which is crucial to the success of these game modes. Now, if all 9 and 10 was about was trying to use the right dice block to pass by the correct cluster of stars or land on the boss space first, then I'd agree that these games still don't do enough to justify their existence. But the actual level design on these boards complements the playstyle very well. I actually think it's much more fitting to call these boards levels or stages because they feel a lot more like that to me than they do boards. Alright, enough sugarcoating. Mario Party 9 Toad Road. Based off the new Super Mario Bros. Art style, this is your introductory board. The captain event on this board transports everyone to 9 Island, where the luck of your roll determines who earns the most mini-stars, which to be honest is the case in a lot of these captain events. There aren't many hazards or stage gimmicks here since this is basically your 1-1 world. The boss battles against Liquido and Wiggler are fun. It's a basic board which really only teaches you how to play. And well, Mushroom Park, Mario Party 10 is almost the exact same description. There are a few more enjoyable events that bring the quality of the board up a bit, which is definitely needed since Mario Party 10 has less boards than Mario Party 9. And the boss battles here include Mega Goomba, Peter Piranha. Like I said, basic board that is meant to teach you how to play. And quite frankly, I feel like a lot of people only tried these two boards and then immediately said this game stinks and the card mechanic stinks. But I digress. Bob-omb Factory. Mario Party 9. Didn't take long for Mario Party 9's board to up the stakes a bit. You travel across a conveyor belt while passing bomb spaces that cause a Bob-omb to land on your vehicle and explode when the vehicle moves 10 spaces. If you're captain when the bomb blows up, you're losing half your mini-stars. This brings in a tactic that allows you to think about what to roll both prior to reaching Bob-omb and what to roll after he's already landed in the vehicle. It adds some wild and intense moments, especially if you're playing with a group of competitive individuals. Finally, your boss battle includes going up against Womp and King Bob-omb. Next up, we have Mario Party 9's Boo's Horror Castle. The gimmick of this board occurs when you pass portraits of Boo. They'll cause Boo to come out of the portrait and hover and chase you to continue on your path. Boo moves 3 spaces at the end of each player's turn, so you'll likely want to use your 4 to 6 dice in this game, or if you're feeling sinister and you have a bit of a lead, use your 0 or 1 dice to force the next player into a position where they might get hit by Boo. If Boo catches up to the vehicle, the captain will lose half of their mini-stars. If 2 or more Boos catch up, they could lose even more than that. There are some branches along the way that allow you to stall your Boo encounter, since Boo remains on the same path, but these branches could cause Boo to move ahead of the players, which means now everyone is stuck trying to not be the player that rolls high enough to catch up to Boo. There's so much that could occur on this board, and that's not even including the final section that involves a path around the roof that requires a player to roll greater than the number displayed on the door to the boss fight. If you roll too low, the vehicle will have to do another lap around the section where more mayhem could occur. Every time a captain rolls too low, the number displayed will go down by 2. If you get through this, you'll face Big Boo, and the mid-boss for this stage was Dry Bones. Both fitting. All in all, this stage is one of my favorites to play in Mario Party 9. Continuing on the ghost level theme, we'll shift over to Mario Party 10's Haunted Trail. You'll be moving through a haunted forest where you'll again be attacked by Boo, and he'll continue to lick the captain every time it's their turn, causing them to lose 5 mini-stars per lick, until you either pass Boo onto another player by landing on a Boo space, or scare it away by passing under a streetlight. As far as ghost gimmicks go, I prefer the one from Mario Party 9 a lot more, but I do enjoy this board nonetheless. There's a lot going on in the environment, plenty of careful moments you'll have to think through when selecting which dice to use. Naturally, the final boss is once again King Boo, but this time the mid-boss is a rare appearance from Sledge Bro. And with that, we head over to the Blooper Beach board in Mario Party 9. Blooper Beach basically sees you traverse the waves while being kept company with either a dolphin or Sushi the shark. If a captain manages to pass by the dolphin, they'll get 5 mini-stars. If Sushi catches up to them, they'll lose half of their mini-stars. There's a lot at stake here. The event spaces in this board will also cause all the mini-stars to turn into mini-zars and vice versa, if they're landed on. It's a decent enough board with the extra gimmick of the mini-stars, but feels a bit blander than I'd like. I do enjoy the water theme though, and the boss battles against Cheep Cheep and Blooper are good enough. I know I'm glossing over the details of the boss battles quite a bit, but I really do enjoy them as the minigames that they are. I don't generally do full analyses of minigames though, since that would take forever. And now we turn to Mario Party 10's Whimsical Waters. Third stage for Mario Party 10, and third copied over theme from Mario Party 9. This time, however, we're underwater. The gimmick here is just a bunch of roulettes to hope you luckily pick the correct chest with the best prize in it. And the prizes are basically an amount of mini-stars or dice blocks. Honestly, it was at this stage of Mario Party 10 playthrough that I started to feel that I preferred 9 a bit more, but I'll get to that as I continue. The board in general is weak. A lot of Mario Party already entails RNG elements to gain or lose mini-stars and dice blocks. They didn't really need that to be added here again. In addition to that, there's a gimmick to reach the final boss that requires a dice roll higher than the number on the door, but that's really all that's left that's interesting. Your final fights are against Mega Cheep Chomp and Mega Blooper, almost an exact rehash of Mario Party 9's water stage bosses. Mario Party 9's Magma Mine is another favorite of mine. The characters are attempting to escape a volcano, they move vertical and the magma beneath them rises 2 turns per turn and rises even more if a captain lands on a magma space. Whoever is unlucky enough to be captain during the rising portions will lose half their mini-stars. Similar to Boo's Horror Castle, I enjoy the mayhem that occurs with every roll on this board. You'll really luck out with a 4 to 6 dice here. The boss battles in this stage include Spike and Chain Chomp. I'm going to skip Mario Party 10's 4th board for now and jump straight to the final board, Chaos Castle, just so I can continue with the fire theme. This board is actually chaotic. You'll spend most of the start of it trying to avoid hazards so you don't lose mini-stars. You'll traverse up a wall and hope to be on a space that doesn't get struck by spikes. There's a long tunnel at the end with lowered portions in the path. If you're captain, you'll want to end your turn in the lower portion, so you don't get struck by one of Bowser's fireballs, causing you to lose half your mini-stars. The intensity in this area also comes from the fact that there are a lot of dash and reverse spaces that you can land on, so anytime you might think you're safe, you might have to roll another dice. The ending of this board is always hectic, but the fun kind of hectic. You definitely want to have some special dice blocks here, and of course you're treated with fights against Mecha Koopa and Bowser. Something I really like about the boss battles in these 2 titles, and in Mario Party DS for that matter, is the fact that they bring in a lot of these classic enemies. Every time a Bob-omb or Blooper or a Spike pop up, I get a nice little sense of nostalgia while thinking about the games I played them on decades ago. Heck, even Dry Bowser pops up here after you defeat Bowser. Chaos Castle is likely my favorite stage in Mario Party 10. The first 3 had gimmicks that I personally didn't find all that exciting, but Chaos Castle does a very good job as a final Bowser-themed stage. And unfortunately, shifting over to Bowser Station in Mario Party 9 doesn't have the same sentiment. Wii Mario Party games, those being 8 and 9, wanted to follow the Mario Galaxy theme and put Bowser in space for the final boards. But I didn't enjoy the board in 8, and I don't really enjoy the board here either. Not only does Bowser belong in a Fire Castle theme, but the gimmick's weak. Bowser Station's main gimmick is a jackpot that has mini-stars added to it as you traverse the board, and if someone lands on the jackpot space, they get all the mini-stars. That's really it. The Captain events are basically casino themed, which is fine, but I feel like what the game offered in Megamind was much better as a grand finale. Bowser Station is probably my least favorite board in Mario Party 9. At the very least, the boss battles against Bowser and Jr. were decent enough. And just when you think you're done with Mario Party 9, you unlock a 7th stage, DK's Jungle Ruins. This board is really nothing more than a bonus stage though. Part of the joy in 9 and 10 is that as you progress through the boards, the stage is changing, and you feel like you're advancing through a stage from a Mario platformer. Here, it's just a giant circle you spin around twice, where the gimmick that changes are the bananas and Z-bananas you collect instead of mini-stars and mini-zars. The bananas and Z-bananas are floating on top of every space, and you need to judge your dice roll based off what's floating on the spaces ahead of you. If they're all bananas, hope you can use a 4 to 6 special dice. If they're Z-bananas, then the lower special dices are preferable. It's a decent gimmick that would be enjoyable if the board was a little more exciting, but this board is unlocked after the players collect enough points and not through general gameplay. It really feels like a bonus reward for just playing longer, to be honest. What's cool though is it's appropriately hosted by Donkey and Diddy Kong, and their mid and final boss battles are just barrel minigames that require you to collect bananas in a very classic Donkey Kong fashion. And that's all there is to Mario Party 9's final board. Swinging back over to Mario Party 10's penultimate board, we have a stage based off the old Mario 3 airships. I'm totally a sucker for the aesthetic of Airship Central. I'm fully aware that the mini cutscenes that occur at the end of every turn can be annoying, but you can hit minus to skip them. Call me simple, but the first time I saw a convoy of airships shifting, I thought it was a spectacle. Basically, after every turn, the airships will shuffle with a row of airships adjacent to it, so you never really know which airship you'll be boarding until it's your turn and you have an idea of what you need to roll. A lot of the strategy comes from spotting what's on the airship ahead of you and making the right decision of when to use your special dice to either benefit yourself or screw over the next player. This is a good board. I don't care how many people roll their eyes at it. In fact, this board and Chaos Blast are the two boards I enjoy the most in Mario Party 10, and it's just so fitting that the mini-boss here is Mega Monty Mole, while the final boss is Kamek. And that wraps up the 12 boards between these two games. 4 out of 5 of Mario Party 10's themes are exact repeats of Mario Party 9, which is a bit annoying, especially when you consider there was a 3-year gap between these games. I can forgive the first and last stage since they're basically your generic grass themes and your final Bowser themes, but the reality is if I'm playing Mario Party 10, I'm more likely to play Airship Central and Chaos Castle, and maybe Mushroom Park if I'm playing with newcomers to the series. I'd say Mario Party 10 lucked out considering it only had 5 boards. Some of the earlier titles had 6 boards and only 3 of them that were good. Mario Party 9 on the other hand, I'd play basically any of the first 5 boards. Toad Road is good for newcomers, Boo's Horror Castle and Megamind are really fun, Blooper Beach and Bob-omb Factory are acceptable. I'd really only skip Bowser Station for having a weak gimmick and DK's Jungle Ruins for being unimaginative. The question I asked myself quite a bit before starting this specific video was how I was going to express that I enjoyed the gameplay of 9 and 10 and put into words why I felt like they were legitimate Mario Party games, despite changing so much. I think the biggest thing for me was the familiarity felt for the series by playing them. You still have a checkpoint as the game nears the end that's similar to the last 5 turn event and often results in the person last getting a boost and more Bowser or Bowser Jr. spaces on the board. And those Bowser spaces have a lot of the same punishments and gimmicks from previous games, like Bowser's Revolution and whatnot. You have a weak version of chance time in the steel spaces, albeit that's only in Mario Party 10. You have all your different types of dice that allow you to think before you play, so there's still strategy involved. And you have some of the best minigames the series has seen up to this point. Motion control minigames are amazing, and Mario Party 8 didn't quite have that figured out yet. Mario Party 9 and 10 set up an amazing foundation for minigame packages that include both motion and button control minigames, and that was carried on into the Switch games. These games are Mario Party. I realize that a lot of my perspective of Mario Parties 9 and 10 must have changed because I might be fatigued from running through all the games in the span of only a few months, but having access to all of the games now changed my perspective on a lot of previous titles, mostly for the worst. But in this case, they were changed for the better. Part of the reason I combined these two games was because I didn't really want to spend 2 videos talking about why the car mechanic was good. But another reason is I don't really know which one I prefer. Both 9 and 10 have their ups and downs. 10 looks slightly better and has the Bowser gimmick that sees Bowser emerge if every number 1 through 6 is rolled during this game, but 9 has more boards that I enjoy. But 10 has 2v2 minigames and more characters, but 9 has fewer low points. It's honestly easiest for me to just call it a tie for 9 and 10. Maybe if I spend more time playing these 2 games I'll come out with a clearer victor, but for now I'm comfortable treating them as equals. I mean, if you have a Wii U you can play both of them anyway. And you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but if you have a Wii, Mario Party 9 is a better game than Mario Party 8. If you want classic gameplay on Wii, then turn towards Mario Party 5, 6, or 7 for GameCube. The question is, where would I rank these games in relation to the rest of the series? God, I can almost feel the rage when I say this. But I'd say these games for me are about as good as Mario Party 6. As a reminder, first place are 2 and 7. Second place is 5. Third place is 6, and now 9 and 10 as well. Fourth place are 1 and 3. Fifth place is DS, and dead last would be 4 and 8. There's honestly a lot about this ranking that if I had seen it before starting this retrospective, I would have scoffed at. But it's weird just going through the games and laying them out as I go along. The retrospective is nearing its end, and Mario Party series goes back to form with the 2 Switch titles. The question is whether or not they are proper returns to form. Hit the notification bell and subscribe to be kept in a loop on that. Thanks for watching. Oh shoot. I forgot to talk about Bowser Party. Okay guys, I wanted to like this mode. Everyone went on about how it's what makes the game amazing. I think it's an excellent idea. I absolutely love the visuals in some of the moments, but it's only implemented in 3 levels, and in all the occasions that I played, Bowser was easily the victor, even when the youngest noob was controlling him. Good idea, but a very poor execution. It probably could have been fixed by having it remain a 4-player competition, with Bowser being treated more as a moderator or hazard creator instead of an actual 4 versus 1 mode, but I'm not sure. It's a side mode, however, and the recurring theme of every video is people complaining that I don't spend time talking about the side modes. In this case, maybe fans of Bowser Party should be happy I'm not doing an in-depth analysis of the side mode, because there's a lot worse things I could say about it, to be honest. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Dean, out.